Hi, Sarah Burt from EarthWise again. After last talk I did on hormones, I wanted to expand on that a little bit with a subject that I think is very important and obviously one that I get confronted with a lot in my clinic. And that is the subject of unwanted or unexplained weight gain during menopause. So I thought what I would do is I would specify, because it's a talk unto itself, exactly what's happening with the hormones at this time and why that would specifically be affecting this factor. So when we typically get to about 35 to 45, we go through a period called perimenopause, which is before menopause, and then menopause kicks in from about 45 to 55, and there's a lot of different hormonal changes that go on at this time. In perimenopause, the first thing that happens is our progesterone starts to decline, and then that, as I explained in the last video, causes a lot more stress with regards to not sleeping, insomnia, mood changes, mood swings, and also insulin resistance becomes a bit different. This then of course causes more cravings for sugary foods and refined carbohydrates, which of course are in turn going to sit heavy on our systems. They will put on weight anyway. Estrogen is fluctuating at this time, so it's not yet gone completely, and this can cause a deposition of more fat in female areas such as thighs, bottom, tummy and breast area. And then also at this point we've got cortisol kicking in, which is part of the fight or flight, the stress reaction in our bodies, and then that basically is triggering fat storage to happen more. Just because when we're in fight or flight, the body is registering that there might be a shortage of food, so immediately it starts to store food in the form of fat so that we have reserves just in case anything happens. So that's the sort of can be a 10-year period leading up until menopause, and then when we hit menopause, which can happen anytime between 45 and 50, that's when estrogen really plummets. Now when estrogen plummets, our metabolism plummets. It just works synergistically together, and our muscle mass can also start to deteriorate. We have testosterone even as women in our systems, and that starts to decrease as well. That can cause more fatigue, it can cause loss of strength, and again it brings our metabolism, our metabolic rate down. Our thyroid also at this point, our basal metabolism starts to become affected. So it's not the calories that are counting in this case, because you can say, well, I've eaten the same diet all of my life and then all of a sudden, why is it that I'm putting on weight? Well, this is why in what's happening. So the hormones are going to the hormones are going to affect our burning of those calories. It's going to affect our metabolism from working so effectively. There's going to be an increase in cortisol, which is going to basically suppress our thyroid gland and encourage much more abdominal fat around our middle, and it's going to increase slow sleep, poor sleep and anxiety, which is going to then lend itself to us eating more sugar. So the gut's also very involved, because at this point in time, our stomach acid secretions, our digestive secretions, also become compromised. Now, if we've got less hydrochloric acid in our stomach, we're going to have poorer carbohydrate breakdown and metabolism and poorer protein metabolism. We are also then going to have a lot more fermentation in our guts, so we're going to experience much more bloating, discomfort, inflammation, and fat storage will happen. Because as well we've got all this fermentation going on, we can have a build-up of candida in our systems, which means ironically that we crave more sugar to feed that candida, and then it's a vicious cycle. Because all of this is going on, it puts more load on the liver, and therefore as the liver becomes more sluggish, because all of the above is happening with the digestive system, it in turn stops working so well and the bowels become sluggish. If the bowels become sluggish, we cannot exit the byproduct of estrogen that is needing to be moved out of the system, so it keeps recirculating, and as a result the whole vicious cycle continues. Estrogen in the system, poorer metabolism, weight gain around the middle, etc., etc. So the solution really is, because our body is changing, is to obviously change the way that we are eating in response to that. And what a lot of women that I speak to have found very effective is something called the Paleo-ketogenic diet. This works incredibly well, particularly for O blood types. So if you know your blood type, it really does help in this respect, because it's a diet that very much recommends no grains, no carbohydrates, no root vegetables, so that all the sugary sorts of foods and the ones that cause a lot of inflammation in our bodies, and predominantly focuses on animal meat, animal fats, etc. So of course this is not so kind for the vegetarian or vegan type of people in this world, and particularly the A blood types, because as an A blood type or a spin-off of an A blood type, which is AB, or even a B, which is a very rare blood type, they do not suit eating so much red meat and animal fat. It just doesn't go well for us. So what instead you can do is adapt that paleo keto diet to help make accommodations. So instead of all your animal protein, you'd be having fish and white meat, or if you were vegetarian, it would be in the form of pea proteins, hemp proteins, tofu and tempeh, those sorts of things. You could also have, for fats, instead of the animal fats, it would be olive oil, it would be hemp and flaxseed oils, it would be avocado oils. Then we've got what carbohydrates you can eat. Well, the paleo keto diet is very specifically avoid all grains, avoid all starchy foods, and avoid all starchy vegetables. So this works because we're putting much less load on the liver and the gut and the bowels. It therefore helps out with the transportation of hormones that we don't need in the body. It regulates our blood sugar levels. It increases muscle mass because we're eating much more protein. And generally it helps with energy as well, because we're not spiking our insulin levels all the time. So generally this way of accommodating the changes in our body has been incredibly successful, and there's many books on the market that you can get about the keto paleo diet. It's encouraging us to work off fat for energy, which obviously then burns fat, and because we're not replacing it by eating lots of carbohydrates, which then add to our weight, it's then going to be burning fat reserves. But specifically for the thyroid, which is tends to slow down when we get to this age, herbs such as kelp, bladderwrack, sea vegetables, eating sea vegetables, things which contain a lot of iodine really help our metabolism out tremendously. The herb ashwagandha as well is renowned for actually having a very beneficial effect on the thyroid. We've also got gut support that comes in there. So if there's any inflammation, slippery elm powder or L-glutamine to help with leaky gut syndrome, 500 milligrams 3 times a day in between foods for the L-glutamine is incredibly well documented and beneficial. Then we've got licorice root herbs that can also help with stomach inflammation and acidity. We've got fermented foods, of course, like kimchi and kefir. We've got sauerkraut, and then for the O blood groups, bone marrow, bone broth, bone collagens are also very beneficial for gut health. Fasting as well has been known to really help things out, because it gives the gut a rest, it gives the liver a rest, and so anywhere between 12 and 16 hours is meant to be incredibly beneficial. We've then got liver support in terms of herbs. Milk thistle, dandelion root would really help out. Then we've got specific brain herbs as well that can help. Ginkgo biloba, gotukola, rhodiola, Siberian ginseng. These are all ones that are phenomenally good at helping with focus and clearing that brain fog. For muscle mass that's being lost, high protein and weight bearing exercise and branch chain amino acid powders. So these are protein drinks that put a lot of protein into the system that actually the muscle really thrives on. So overall, if you go back to the talk that I did last week on what supplements are overall good for the hormones, it's still there. But in general, it is your phytoestrogens, your plant estrogens, which are sage, red clover, black cohosh, and then you've got your progesterone influencers, which are things like wild yam. All of that in combination will definitely be beneficial and will certainly start to help with that unwanted weight gain that most women do experience when they get to their menopause. Anyway, hope that's been some help. Please do subscribe if you want to have these videos come in regularly into your box. Please share them. I mean, there's a lot of people out there that are unaware how well herbal medicines and supplements can really help with these common conditions that we all suffer from. Okay, that's it for now. Bye.